Hello everyone, welcome to Off the Wall Novels. I am Daniel Backer. I just wanted to give a little update on the channel so that you can all know what I have been up to recently. And so Pringle can show his face in here. So if you don't know, I moved to Brooklyn recently after spending a year in Kansas City after living in Los Angeles for about 5 years. And all of this coincided with the release of my novel. So Lionel, Lancet and the Right Vibe is officially out. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. I am going to make an audiobook and an ebook of this eventually, but for right now, the paper copy through lulu.com is the only thing that's available. And really most of the videos that I've done on this channel and most of the books that they're about influenced this book. So I think that it would be interesting to get any feedback on that if you are willing to support the channel in that regard. But beyond that, I know that I've talked in the past a little bit about kind of getting sick of postmodernism and then reading it just because that's familiar to me and I already have like a prepackaged way of analyzing that kind of fiction. And I've been asking for some suggestions for some stuff that I think could kind of pull me out of that rut and pull me into a new direction. And after trying some different stuff, I think that the answer to my prayers has been Edith Wharton. And so I'm currently working on a video essay for her book, The Age of Innocence. And I have a lot of footage from around New York because it actually takes place in New York. And so some of the scenes, I have footage of those locations that are going to appear in the video. So I'm very excited to roll that out the door. Probably won't be finished until Thanksgiving or so because I'm trying to refine my editing process, and I took a class on editing actually to learn a little bit more about that. But I also just started her novel called The House of Mirth, and I'm only a chapter into that, but I absolutely love it. And I would recommend to anyone who likes postmodernism but maybe wants something with more structure to check it out. It's definitely not thematically postmodern by any means, but I think a lot of the prose of people like Thomas Pynchon or Juna Barnes, if you like that kind of stuff, you're going to like Edith Wharton's prose, but she's much more about character dynamics and relationships. And what's really blowing me away after reading so much postmodernism is her attention to detail in these characters and how realistic they are, but then also the arcs that they go on. And specifically for The Age of Innocence, there is such a beautiful payoff at the end. And I think that that was something that I found kind of lacking in some postmodern novels that I've read, like Gravity's Rainbow, Infinite Jest, Ant Kind. I love those books, but in my opinion, it's the journey, not the destination. Because like for Infinite Jest, I understand that there is like a plot and the ending kind of takes place toward the beginning, so maybe that's not the perfect example, but just as the reading experience ends on the last page, it is kind of like, okay, it doesn't really hit you with something. Whereas it felt like with The Age of Innocence, that last scene really felt like an emotional payoff to everything that she had explored up until that point. And so I highly recommend checking it out. And The House of Mirth is shaping up to be just as good. I've also heard that The House of Mirth is supposed to be better than The Age of Innocence. And so I'm glad. It's really exciting because I haven't read any of her stuff other than these two so far, and I know she has a lot more. And so it just feels like it's such a beautiful potential for a lot more to explore about her. So you can expect a lot more content on this channel about her here in the future. But again, I think that it's such a relief to have this like beautiful elevated prose and this really specific exploration of these characters, but also to not really have to be so puzzled about what's going on. And what's cool about postmodernism is also what's frustrating about it is that they're trying to dismantle meaning so much and give you this very ambiguous imagery that it's not always clear. And that is very beautiful and very sublime. And that is what I like about it. But it's also nice to just have the audience know what you're doing when you're writing something, you know? And so I am very eager to read more of her stuff in the future. And any other recommendations in that vein, if you're familiar with Edith Wharton, I'd love for you to leave them in the comments, or just any other book that you'd like to see me do some videos here on the channel. If you haven't read The Age of Innocence, I'll just give my short take on it here in this video, without making the video go too long, it centers on Newland Archer, who is engaged to the woman that society expects him to marry, named May Wheeland. And she is a little shallow, a little traditional, maybe basic would be the term that we would use today. But then her cousin, Ellen Olenska, who is like mid-divorce proceedings, I don't think it's completely gone through, is this scandalized woman that comes into Newland Archer's life. And she really makes him question whether or not he wants to get engaged to, or proceed with the engagement, get married to May Wheeland, because he falls in love with Ellen. And this is like a pretty traditional setup. I don't know if just hearing that synopsis necessarily would have made me want to read it, but for whatever reason, it really called to me when I heard Fran Lebowitz recommend it in her documentary with Martin Scorsese on Netflix called, I think they call it A City. It's all about New York. And she just mentioned, you have to read Edith Wharton if you're a writer. And so I was like, all right. So I bought it. And again, the premise isn't what grabbed me, but the scene work and the dynamic that exists between all the characters for one, but specifically Newland Archer and Ellen Olenska is just so beautiful and so well done. And every single thing that they do is just dripping with subtext. And you just get this beautiful rendering of very realistic people. But then it's not just like a character exploration, even though that's probably the most interesting part of it, is that you do get a lot of theme that she's developing too, about societal expectations, about the Gilded Age, and someone just wrestling with, are they going to go with what they want in their heart, or are they going to go with what society expects of them? And so I'm not going to give it away here because I want to explore it in greater detail in that video essay that I'm still making. But I would highly recommend checking this out. And I think that's all that I have to say for today. I don't know if Pringle ended up making an appearance or not. Let me see if I can scare him out. Can you see him in there? All right, he's being shy, so I'm going to leave him alone. But I'll go ahead and sign off. If you're on TikTok, I'm at Daniel Backer Author, same exact name on Instagram. And if you are TikTok resistant, I would recommend just check it out. Give it some time to tune the algorithm to your tastes, because at first it's just going to show you everything because it's dating you. It's trying to figure you out. But then if you swipe away from stuff you don't like and continue watching stuff that you do like, it's actually pretty amazing in a scary way how well it gets to know you and shows you cool stuff. So I subscribe to a lot of the like psychology-based stuff, philosophy, book talk, relationship advice, things like that. There's actually a lot of positive content on there if you don't just want like silly videos of people dancing and that sort of thing. But if you want that, that's great too. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Just wanted to give an update on the channel, say hi to everybody to let you know what I'm doing, and I will post that Age of Innocence video probably around Thanksgiving. Goodbye.